I'm so excited. So let's do a bit of harvesting and then we'll be sharing a couple of recipes. First thing I want to show you is that the rhubarbs will push some seed heads, and you want to remove those, of course, because it means the energy will go there and not into producing beautiful rhubarb stalks for you to enjoy. So let's take care of that real quick. All you need is a pair of pruners. To harvest, super easy. All you have to do is pull on the stem gently until it detaches. Gently being the key word. This was the bottom of the stalk of the seed head. And you want to get the entire stalk, so no breakage around the base, and get that little white bit out. And it means you remove the entire stalk and others can form. Look at all that rhubarb! I can't wait to cook with it. So you see, it's super easy to harvest, and once it's implanted in the garden, you'll have rhubarbs for years to come. All you have to do is remove those seed heads and make sure there's enough water in dry spells. Hey, I'm just back from the allotment and I've harvested this beautiful bit of rhubarb right here, and I'm going to show you now how I process it and show you one of the few recipes I really love enjoying rhubarb with. Because the leaf is toxic, I like to leave a little bit of a gap in between the beginning of the stalk and the leaf, and then we'll just discard that. It's perfect material for the compost. The same at the other end. Just remove that little bit and it can go in the compost heap. And then when you have your clean stalk left, all you have to do is chop it. Oh, this is lovely. Chop it into 2 centimeter chunks. So then I'm placing those in a large bowl, and then I'll cover them with some caster sugar to try to drain out as much water as possible. For older and bigger stalks, sometimes you can see the rhubarb as this very tough fiber, so I typically don't remove it, but when it starts to peel off on its own like that, I think it's always better to remove that as much as possible. Look how big the leaf gets. I'm so pleased we can have such a good harvest. Wow, that's awesome. We have one full bowl, around 3 kilos. That's amazing, right? So I already have some simple caster sugar here, and this is about 400 grams. So this is a process that you want to do for rhubarb regardless of the recipe that you're going to do, jams, crumbled tarts. Once you're done stirring, this is what I expect it to look like. You have the rhubarb that's slightly coated all the way through from top to bottom with a light dusting of sugar. Now a bit of cling film in the fridge, and we'll come back tomorrow. So this is the next day. I've had my rhubarb macerating overnight in some sugar. And now I'm going to do my first recipe. I have my cookbook and I already laid out all the ingredients I'm going to need. So of course the pastry case, I'm using a pâte sablée. You could also use a short crust one. I also have some melted butter, 55 grams, 2 tablespoons of milk and 2 tablespoons of creme fraiche. I have 25 grams of almond powder and 75 grams of granulated white sugar. And then I'm also going to need 1 egg. I'm going to need 600 grams of rhubarb. But first I wanted to show you what coating it in sugar overnight does. Alright, so for the grand reveal, so this is what it looks like, really nice, and the rhubarb started shrinking and giving away its water. So I went ahead and weighed 600 grams of the rhubarb I just showed you, and right now it's draining. I'm going to start by adding an egg. Then I'm going to add the sugar. The recipe called for 75 grams, but I've added 100 because the rhubarb is quite tart, so it really depends on your personal taste there. Then I'm adding the almond. Then the creme fraiche and the milk. And now the butter. And here we go. You should have a really good feeling, so that's just, this is kind of like the thickness I think that you want to get. Alright, this is our drained rhubarb, and the next step is just to pop it on the pastry to like a nice even distribution. Cool, that's perfectly filling. Then another little whisk. Let me just pour that through. Doesn't look delicious? I had preheated my oven at 180 degrees and I'm going to pop this in for 30 minutes and then we should have a beautiful rhubarb tart. I just wanted to show you quickly. This is the rest of the rhubarb. It's about 1.5 kilos, and this was the sugary water that we got from leaving it overnight. But if you're making jam, don't throw that away. We'll throw that in and count the sugar that we used for that. Alright, so our tart is cooking and now it's time to make the jam. I think that's one of the easiest recipes. All you have to do is add part fruit and part sugar and then cook it for a little while until you get the desired consistency. I already had added about 400 grams of sugar previously, yesterday. So now, depending on the ratio of fruit to sugar that you want to achieve and also the final taste, whether you want it to be more tart or more sweet, you can vary those ratio. For me, I've decided to put 60% fruit and 40% sugar, so I need to add another, with my little paper, I need to add another 600 grams, and so that's going to be in total 1 kilo of sugar for about 1.5 kilos of rhubarb that we have left here. I'm going to merge back my sugary water and my rhubarb, plus 600 grams of sugar. And now the juice of 1 lemon, just to stabilize things and help preserve. This part is completely optional, but we found that it really helped with preserving the jam. So I'm going to pop this on medium heat and bring it to the boil and then simmer it until I get the proper consistency for the jam. Alright, I think it's cooked. I'll give it a try. Look how gorgeous. Well, it did burn a bit over there, but I think it's going to be delicious. And in the meantime, we need to sterilize those pots. It's really important because once you have your mixture, you want the container to be germs-free so that it will preserve as much as possible, but also everything you use, so spatulas and then the funnel. Those pots will go in the oven for 10 minutes at 200 degrees. So this is just to make sure that they're bacteria free, and the lids are dunked in boiling water for a couple of minutes. And then once they're filled, of course, take out the cap carefully from the boiling water, or make sure you have that drained away as soon as they've stayed in a few minutes, and close them and put them upside down straight away. And you want to do that process when the jam and the pots are still warm. So again, and always care so that everything can cool down and produce that great seal. That's done. So it's the next day. I waited until the pots cooled down upside down to ensure a good seal. And now we're ready to roll. This should keep well in a cool, dry place like you would preserve any food, but I'm not sure that they will store very long, so plan to eat them rather quickly in the next few months. The texture here of the jam, you may have spotted, was a bit liquid, and it's because I forgot to add some zest to help with the jelly consistency, but I think it's still going to be very delicious. And I went ahead and popped a little bit of raffia just to give them a cute look, and I need to label them to make sure I remember what date we produced that batch at. Tell me if you try any of the recipe, or make sure to leave a comment down below if you also have a rhubarb recipe that you love and you'd like to share with everyone. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye! Yeah, and the tart was delicious, and it didn't last very long. I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's really good. Eating in front of the camera, not recommended.